What's going on, guys? Welcome back. We're here, another round, Mobility Minute. We're gonna focus in on the spine today, do a little bit of spine mobilization, a little bit of rotation. It's gonna be emphasizing the thoracic spine, so if you're one of those people that has kind of that mid-back pain sometimes, this is gonna be a good one for you. You're gonna need a little bit of floor space. I'm gonna use a peanut today, which is like the double ball. So you can tape two lacrosse balls together. I recommend getting the rad kit because it comes with a peanut and it's perfect to mobilize the spine. What else we need? I think that's it. Yeah, maybe something, if you have a weight, so a dumbbell or a kettlebell, we will use that to mobilize the spine today. Just get a little extra work. If you don't have a weight, that's okay. You can do it without, and I'll be sure to cover that when we get there. So yeah, let's get started. All right, we're gonna start with a little bit of a mobilization. So trying to mobilize some specific segments of the spine that tend to not be as mobile. You're welcome to use a foam roller. A pair of lacrosse balls taped together will work really well. I am gonna use my rad kit because it's awesome. And it comes with this wonderful peanut. If you want your own rad kit, there's a link in the description. You can use a code that I have that'll get you 15% off. I highly recommend having a rad kit like this because it's just great. Everything's all in one. You got different size balls, you got specialty balls, you've got the roller, which would also work great for what we're about to do. And then you've got this evil thing right here, which will really mess you up. Maybe one day we'll use it in a video. But we're gonna do some T-spine mobilization with our peanut. So I'm gonna get this guy to where my spine is right in between the two ends. And I want it in my mid-back. So just between the shoulder blades. Now this is gonna be pretty intense. When we do this variation, because the ball is so much smaller than a foam roller, I'm really working kind of one segment at a time. So the space between two vertebrae, and I'm really gonna force them to open up. So I'm gonna go in between the shoulder blades first, and I may work up or down, whatever feels right. But then all we're gonna do is we're gonna think about opening over that ball. So in that specific spot, I'm gonna allow my spine to extend and arch over that ball, and then I'll come back and round against it, and then I can shimmy down so the ball moves up a little bit, and then same thing. I've got my hands on my chest, but you can put your hands behind your head, whatever works for you. If you want to support your neck, so your neck muscles don't get tired. I really want you to try to move over the ball. So instead of arching the whole spine and letting your lower back lift off, try to keep your lower back on the floor and just move that upper spine, that upper portion over the ball. We want to be specific with our segmentation because we want to mobilize each section of the spine. If there's one that tends to not move as much, or you find that your lower back has to lift, it just doesn't want to let you open up, then you can stay there and get a few reps. Right about here is usually my problem area. Feels like I don't have a lot of motion, so I'm just gonna spend a few reps here. I'm just trying to let myself arch over that ball in that specific area without letting my lower back come off the floor, right? Keeping it on the floor without really moving my neck too much, right? So I'm not dropping my head back. I'm really trying to move just those segments. Like I said, you can work up, work down, whatever feels right. You do want to stay on the ribs though. So if you work down, try not to get into the lower back too heavily. Probably won't be super comfortable anyways. As you move up, it'll get a little bit harder. That area of the upper back really doesn't move for people sometimes. The good thing to think about is keep your back on the floor, keep your lower back on the floor, and keep your face up to the ceiling, right? If your face starts to drop up and look up at like the side of the building, then you're probably moving your neck a little too much. You want to focus on the T-spine. That's pretty good. Like I said, you can use a regular foam roller for that. It's just not gonna be as localized. You can also use the Helix from Rad, which is great. It's a little bit bigger, so again, not as intense as the Peanut, but I really like the Peanut to really get in there and mobilize each segment. Now, we're gonna do another opener, but this is gonna be more about rotation of the spine, and it's gonna be less specific to the T-spine. So it's gonna involve a little bit of the lumbar spine. You're gonna want a weight. If you don't have a weight, it's okay. We'll just do this like an open book. We'll just let your arm drop to their side, and I'll demonstrate that. But we're gonna lay on our side, and we're gonna make sure that the knees are even. So I don't want this top knee pushed back. I wanna get the knees even, because that means the pelvis is even. Now I'm gonna hold that knee down in place with this hand. I'm gonna keep tension there. I'm gonna take my weight in my other hand. It does not have to be heavy. This is only like maybe 10 pounds, 15 pounds? Yeah, 15 pounds, so it's not heavy at all. You can use 10 pounds, that's fine. I wanna think about pushing this weight away as much as I can, so I'm not gonna let my shoulder drop in towards me. I'm gonna keep this shoulder pressed out. So pressure on my knee, keep my knees together so they're flush, and then pushing out on the kettlebell. Now I'm gonna think about allowing the kettlebell to rotate my rib cage towards the floor. And what you should feel is like your spine ringing out, especially right in the middle. Notice I'm not letting my shoulder shrug back. I'm keeping that kettlebell pressed, and I'm forcing the rotation in my spine. We're gonna come back. So we're dropping the ribs towards the floor, but keeping the shoulder the same. You should feel rotation in your spine. It's a good deep twist. The weight is just helping us out a little bit. If you're going weightless, this is gonna be an open book. So I'm just reaching my hand back and then bringing it back. The weight just gives us a little more resistance, and it forces some of our intrinsic spine muscles to contract to roll us back here. So it's a nice controlled eccentric on those those teeny tiny spine muscles. We'll get about one more, and then we'll switch. Ugh, that feels so good. You might get a few pops. I didn't get any pops this time, but I might on this side. So lying on your side, we're gonna bend the hips 90 degrees, bend the knees 90 degrees, make sure the knees are stacked. So I don't want this knee pushed back. I wanna make sure they're level. Take that arm up overhead, put pressure on the top knee. That's gonna help us keep it there. And then I'm pushing that kettlebell or that weight away from me, not letting the shoulder shrug back like that. That's a no-no. Keep that away. And then let the weight push the rib cage towards the floor. Oh yeah, this is my bad side. Not as much rotation. Woo! And then roll back up. So nice and slow, control it, control it. Keep that kettlebell away from you, keep pushing it away. Ooh, there was a pop. And then back up. So think about rolling your rib cage. You're rolling towards your back rather than just letting the shoulder shrug towards the floor. Keep that kettlebell pushed away. The rotation is through the spine. You will feel it in the spine if you're doing it right. You're gonna feel that deep spinal twist, especially if you're keeping pressure on that top knee. Pushing down. Oh yeah, I'm getting one more. So we did about 5 each side. You're welcome to do more. Oh, that's good. Love that. All right, to finish the spine mobilization, we're gonna do a little T-spine rotation in child's pose. So child's pose is just making it a little bit harder. We've done this in quadruped, we've done this laying flat, and now we're gonna take it, advance it, and do it in a child's pose. So I'm going to let my butt sit on my heels, walk my hands forward so I find my child's pose. I'm gonna take my hand, put it behind my head, and then from here, keep this hand down. I'm trying to take that elbow to the ceiling. So you should feel some contraction on this side of the spine as you try to look up and point that elbow at the ceiling. Get about 5 reps. Try to hold that top position. Back down. Oh yeah. And then one more. Good, we'll switch. Feel free to do a few more if you'd like. This is just a nice way to kind of turn on the muscles. Everything we did earlier was more passive, more kind of opening the spinal segments, and now this is turning those muscles on, trying to control the spinal segments. So we acquired new range of motion, now we're trying to control that new range of motion. So again, arm out overhead. Think about dropping the chest down, allow your butt to sit on your heels, hand behind the head. And we're turning, trying to get that elbow to point to the ceiling. Back down. Oh, goodness. Shirt's coming up, can't talk. Point up to the ceiling. Oh, this side is such a struggle. Try to get 2 more. Take a little pause at the top and ask yourself, is that as far as I can go? Or do I have a little more? Reach, reach, reach. This last one, and then back down. Woo! Do scapular cars. All right, hopefully spine feels a little better, get a little bit of mid-back relief. It's also just really good for posture if we're kind of sitting here all day. Doing something like that opens us up, allows a little more rotation in the T-spine, which is always good, a little more extension. Everyone can use a little more of that. So good work today. That's all I have for you, and we'll see you next week.